I got a request to do a video for Lilith, kind of like how I did for Thyra a couple months ago, so let's go. First, going to start out with the loadout, of course. The two best weapons for Lilith is either the Necrotic Vessel or the Scepter of the Vampire King. The first one being it summons skeleton archers, and then the other one does Dominate. Now the Dominate also has like this passive ability that can heal, but I'll get into that later. Skeleton archers is also pretty good. It's also pretty good. But for solo play, I think Dominate is probably better. Like, it's probably easier for someone who's just learning how to play Lilith, so that's what I'm going to be using here. Later, I'll go and I'll do a section at the end of the video showing like some archer specific things, but for the main thing, I'm just going to use this weapon because I think it's probably the easiest, like I said, for people who are just trying to survive to unlock the next portal, stuff like that. For her talisman, usually I would use Dark Hunger, and what this does is like it puts out like a circle around her, and anything that's in that, like all the enemies that are in that circle, she draws health from. So she drains them and adds it to her own health. But I'm going to be using this one instead, the Dark Remnant, and basically what that does is it just drops like this crystal bomb thing, and it just deals damage. Like, it has health, and when it's destroyed, it blows up and it kills all the little enemies around it and deals damage that way. This one here, the resurrection ability, not only is it the worst potion Lilith has, it is also the worst in the entire game. I don't recommend that you ever use this potion. What it does is it revives a fallen teammate, but it revives them with a sliver of health. Now, that might not sound too bad on its own. Also, it doesn't do anything in solo. Like, it literally just does nothing. So there's no benefit whatsoever if you're using it in solo. But in multiplayer, it's pretty annoying because you can have it where... Because most people, the way respawns work in this game is that you have to actually... choose to come back into the game. Like, you choose to spend a coin to come back in. So usually what I would do, like what I often end up doing is like I use that time. Like, if I die or something like that, I usually take that time and I'll get like a drink of water or something like that. And then I'll come back in when it looks like is a good place for me to jump back in. But what this would do is that the person who is using this potion, it would like force you to come back into the game when you're not ready to be brought back in. And it's pretty quick too. Like, it just like instantly brings you in the field. It's not like in Helldivers or something like that where you actually see a countdown or anything like that. Like, you're just instantly in the game. You didn't know it was coming, and you're back with just like a sliver of health. It's annoying. Also, if the person does just kind of stick around, like now they're pulling the screen, and yeah, it's annoying. Just don't do it. Don't use it. For the relics, Lilith actually has decent options in relics. I've seen people use the freeze ring. It's pretty nice. Boots are good as well. Tornado's always good. Tornado's a nice one. Siren's Loot, don't really need it because, it's the same thing as the Dominate ability for the most part. But I'm going to be using Ring of Mirrors. Ring of Mirrors is actually really nice it's nice on everybody except Quester. But it's nice for getting like soul energy, which I'll get into when we start doing the levels. But yeah, that's pretty much the loadout. So for the weapon, I'm going to be doing Dominate, and then I'm going to be doing Dark Remnant for the potion, and then I'll be using the Ring of Mirrors relic. So Lilith is pretty unique in a lot of ways. Probably like the most obvious way that she's unique is that if you look underneath my character, so like right above the name, you see that there's like a black bar, and that's for soul energy. And soul energy is what she uses to do her weapon abilities. And you'll see as I start killing enemies and as I start, if I do this, the shadow walk, which is what her dash is called. If I start to do this dash through enemies, you'll see I'll start getting like blue energy stuff from enemies. And that's, like I said, like that's used to fuel her weapon abilities. No other character is like that. Like no other character has this. It's just like a unique thing to her. And it actually has like different levels to it. So the more you have, so right now I have 5, and you can look at the bottom of the screen, like you can see there's a 5 next to my ability. That means it's at its strongest because 5 is the max. And based on how much soul energy you have, the stronger your weapon ability will be when you use it. So in this case, I think it makes it last longer, or it makes the enemies move faster. I think that's what it is. It makes the enemies like move fast when it's at max. Oh yeah, I guess I should explain like the tier system. So there's actually like 2 different tiers to the energy, the soul energy bar thing. So, all right. So when I'm killing enemies here, okay. So you can see I've got one thing of soul energy. Now I have 2. Now I have 3. Now I have 4. Okay. Now you can see that like my bar is full on like that first tier, but you can kind of see there's like a second bar that's like kind of starting to be built up on top of this, like on top of that first one. As I kill him, you can kind of see how like the thicker blue bar is going across. And what that is that when that thicker bar fills up, it actually has like a super version of her weapon ability. And in this case, it makes enemies move fast. So it's kind of funny. It's pretty obvious, like in the cave levels when you use it like on a juggernaut, because like they go like Mach 10 just like in a cave, and they're just like flying everywhere, trying to like punch a hole through something. For the archers, it's pretty obvious. Like for the like it can be kind of hard to tell if you don't know to look for that, like with this weapon. But with the archers, it's pretty obvious because they'll start shooting fire arrows. Now that second tier, so right now it's white, and that means that it's full. And I'll get like the super version. I'll get like the upgraded version. If it's not white, that thicker part of the bar doesn't actually do anything. Like you get it's all or nothing. So you get that first bar. The first bar, it does gradually like mean something. So like on that first bar, 2 is stronger than 1, 3 is stronger than 2, and so on. But on that second bar, none of the second bar like matters at all until it matters a lot. So when it turns white, then you get the upgrade. But until it's turned white, that second bar doesn't mean anything. One of the passive abilities with this particular weapon, it's only this weapon, not any of Lilith's other ones. If you notice, all right, so look at my health right now. It's like kind of, yeah, there you go. So you can kind of see how I'm getting heals off of it. And that's just like a passive ability with this particular weapon. You start getting heals as you collect soul energy. I think some people think that it's based on kills. It is not based on kills. It is based on soul energy, and you get soul energy from kills. That is an important distinction to make, because when you are killing things, you don't always get soul energy, because there's only one circumstance in which you wouldn't get soul energy, but and that is if you're full. So if I am killing things and I have, let's see if I can get max soul energy. Okay, so I am maximum soul energy, and you can see I'm not quite full health, but I am not healing at all from this because I don't have any room for soul energy. You only get the heals as you collect soul energy, but I can't get soul energy because it's full. So if you're trying to get some heals, make sure that you're not full. Get rid of it if you have to. Now you can see I'm starting healing. So now I've got full health again. So yeah. Lilith is actually really strong here in the crypts because if you notice these exploding guys, so one of the things with the exploding guys, that guy right there that I just like triggered or whatever, anytime, and this applies to all characters, but it's only useful for Lilith.
This is getting out of hand.
If you trigger him like this, anybody he kills in that state right there with the explosion, anything that he kills with the explosion, the player that did it, the player that like caused him to explode, gets credit for anything that he kills while, like anything he kills with the explosion. For other characters, this doesn't mean anything. Like, technically, behind the scenes, it does improve your kill count, but who cares about that? But for Lilith, it actually does matter. It actually is pretty useful because, like I said, kills is how she gets her soul energy. So, and soul energy is how you get heals. So if you want to heal pretty fast with this weapon, that's a very fast way to do it. Just go ahead and hit one of those bloated mummies, is their name. Hit one of the bloated mummies, let them explode like a ton of enemies, and you'll get a lot of healing off of it. As far as like strategy goes, oh yeah, that's another thing too. Enemies that have already started their attack and then you use the dominate. And if I didn't explain before, dominate just it just makes it sound like the enemy works for you. They just become friendlies, and then other enemies like just regular enemies will start attacking them, and the dominated enemies won't. So it just causes infighting basically. I forget what I was saying. But anyway, oh well, this is a different thing. So I think this summoning stone is almost dead, so I can't really show it on this. But, oh, I remember what I was saying. So, yeah, so if you see, like, he's, like, winding up his attack, if you dominate him after he's already started winding up the attack, like, the attack animation has already started, you're still gonna get hit. So, like, yeah, you can see, like, he started it up, and then I dominated him. I still got hit. So you gotta make sure that you do it before. I think you might actually still get hit even, even if he's just attacking other enemies. But you just got to be careful, like especially when you're starting it, because you'll be like right next to him. It's a little easier to just avoid it when there's just fighting going on in the field, I guess. But yeah, that is something to be careful of. Yeah, I'll grab this coin because why not? Grab some food. Okay, so it's Shadow Walk. Oh, Shadow Walking also gives you... It also gives you soul energy. So one of the things for both... I can't remember if I already said it or not, but one of the things that, like... So it's very easy to, like... dash into like a hazardous place, so like because you're pretty vulnerable after the dash. Like if you notice, like my stick, I'm just going to keep holding the stick, but you're going to notice these pauses between the dashes, and those pauses between the dashes you really can't do much. There is an animation cancel you can do, and I'll talk about that in a second, but you're pretty vulnerable after that, so it's pretty easy to accidentally dash into danger and like immediately get punished for it. So you got to be careful where you dash. Now, the animation cancel that I was talking about is that you can use the weapon ability to cancel a dash. So I'll dash, and then you can kind of see like that, like I dash, but then like before the normal length of the dash, I just use the weapon ability, and then from there, it just shortens the dash. So you can use that to kind of like hit the brakes, essentially, and make it so that way enemies aren't going to actually hit you. Like you can stop your dash a little shorter. One weird thing with the dominate thing, and this also applies to the when you're using dominate with the relic, so it's not just this weapon. If you use, because there's a relic that any character can use, and it basically also has like this dominate effect, and what I'm about to say applies to that as well. Lilith's hammer cannot damage enemies that are dominated. It's kind of weird, but it's the way it is. So you have to use the slash instead. And also this slash, it varies. So like it'll try to auto detect how close an enemy is, and like it'll change its length based on that. It's kind of weird. This is one thing you can do too. You can just kind of like chill in the middle of enemies if things are getting a little too hectic. You know, it's kind of funny. It can be useful though. Okay, so I guess I'll talk about the double tap thing. So with Lilith's hammer, there's like this weird thing where you can get like 2 hits for the price of 1 with Lilith's hammer if you hit it like right on the edge. I probably have to show it like on a fresh summoning stone, but if you hit something with Lilith's hammer, but you hit it with like the edge of the hammer, there's like a perfect like spot for it. There's like a certain sweet spot, and if you hit with the sweet spot, 2 hits register. I'm pretty sure that's a glitch, but it is what it is. So I'll try to see if I can show it. Yeah, there you go. So I hit that summoning stone, and you may notice that it actually did 2 hammer hits, and you can take out summoning stones pretty quickly that way if you can find that right spot. This is going to be too close. Let's see. Yeah. But yeah, you can see you can heal pretty quickly off those exploding guys. So yeah. And then the hammer can reach through crowds as well. So yeah, really take advantage of the hammer's reach when you're trying to, you know, if you're trying to heal up.
Another spirit broken.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if that wasn't really a good demonstration of it. I was trying to show the double hit thing, and the double hit thing works on more, and you probably saw it earlier, but like the double hit thing, it works on things more than just summoning, like not just summoning stones. It works on anything that has a health pool large enough to take 2 hits. So bosses like that Necromancer that was in there, it worked on him as well. Yeah, like the Juggernauts, anything like that. Spider Queen, the Demon Whore, the Big Eye. It works on anything with the health pool large enough. So when you're shadow walking, one thing to be mindful of, and there's not really enough enemies to show here. One of the things to be mindful of, and I think I started saying this, I'm not sure if I finished, but like one of the things to be mindful of is like make sure that you don't dash into vulnerable areas. Like make sure you're not dashing into enemies so that like when you're getting hit, so like if I dash here, yeah, see how like I got hit like right afterwards. So one of the things that you can do, I guess I should show that as well. One of the things that you can do is that you can kind of like draw the enemies to you, and you kind of get as far as you can without using the dash, and then right when they're about to attack, then you dash out of it. And by doing that, it kind of makes it so that way... It kind of makes it... So, yeah, there we go. I'm getting a lot of double hits here, so hopefully you can see that well. It makes it so that way, like, it kind of clears enemies out of where you want to dash. Because if you draw them over, like if you draw them all to one side, well then obviously they're not on the other side, so now you can, now you're free to go there. So yeah, hammer does not work on this guy. You can see, like, it's not doing anything to him. So, because he's dominated, so I gotta do the slash. Let's see, what's next? Maybe animation canceling? Oh yeah, this is useful too. The slash. A lot of people don't really use the slash, but
I'll just keep this for myself.
it's nice. Kind of delays dudes, staggers them. It can be nice for buying some time if you're gonna let some enemies kind of, like I was saying with like the Shadow Walk thing just a moment ago, like kind of freeze up an area. So we kind of gives you a place to dash to. So if you see, yeah, like this, see how I'm just kind of like building up. And well, I can't stay here anyway because of death, but yeah. I guess I didn't really explain what the what my potion does, but it's just, I guess I didn't demonstrate it, but yeah, it just makes it so that way it's just like a bomb basically with like a health thing. So
This is getting
when it blows up, it just deals a lot of damage. Let's see. I guess animation canceling is next.
to feed.
I don't know.
This is the power.
One of the, oh, actually, maybe this. So one thing that you can do is, if you notice that commander guy, he was giving a buff to all the. He's the guy. He's the archer skeleton, the big guy, with the blue circle around him. He gives buffs to like the skeletons. Like you can't kill them as long as they're standing next to him. So one thing that you can do to just like instantly kill him, or not kill him, but like get rid of his like effect, his like buff effect, is to just dominate him. And then, you know, obviously he's working for you and he's not working for the enemy, so he's not making them stronger. So that's one way to just kind of
I could do this all
get
day.
certain like high priority enemies temporarily out of the way. So these guys are dominated, so I have to use the slash on them. So animation canceling. One of the probably the most common animation cancel with Lilith is from hammer, do a dash. So hammer, dash, hammer, dash. Now normally, if I was just walking and doing the hammer, see like there's like a little bit of a delay there before I can move again. But if you dash, you can dash instantly. So that's pretty useful. And it doesn't have to be in the same direction either. I can hammer down but dash right. You know, you can kind of go in any direction with it. So that's useful. It also works with the slash, not just the hammer. So you can hammer forward, go back. You can slash forward, go back. If you play on keyboard, it might be a little harder to do. So for keyboard, it's easier to dash exactly where you hammered, which can be useful. On controller, it's easier to dash in like any direction afterwards, which, you know, is also useful, but you know, it has a different purpose for it. Let's see. Yeah, so you can dash out of a hammer, you can slash out of, you can dash out of a slash. Something else I want to say, but I think I'll wait till I get to the lava levels to talk about that. Yeah. Oh, also you can use the weapon ability to. I guess there's no more enemies. You can use the weapon ability to get out of a dash. You can like stop your dash early. Hopefully I didn't already say that. I may have said that in a previous take. I can't remember if I said it in this one. Let's see. Get these potions. Yeah, I've already talked about the double hit, which is very nice. As far as like strategy goes for like what do you dominate, like do you dominate little guys, do you dominate big guys? What I typically do is I typically just dominate I don't dominate based on what I want working for me. I dominate based on what I want to die. Because whatever it is that you dominate is probably going to die quicker. So, like, don't dominate a big guy thinking, like, oh, he's going to put in a lot of work for me. He might, but, like, what's probably more likely to happen is that you are going to dominate him, and then a lot of little guys are just going to come and kill him. So, yeah.
I deserve this.
That's very useful in lava levels for like imps, sorcerers, and things like that. You just like dominate a sorcerer or an imp, and then you just walk away, and you just let all the enemies basically just kill him for you. It's pretty convenient, But yeah, so you can interrupt a dash with the weapon ability. It's pretty nice. It can be nice for like stopping short of something. Like if you're about to dash into an orc juggernaut that's like about to swing his club and you're about to get hit by that and you see it, you can use your weapon ability and just like come to a quick stop. And hopefully you'll still be outside of his range. I'm just going to grab a coin for safety. Normally I wouldn't, but it would be pretty tragic to record a video and then like not be able to finish the run. But yeah, you can see I get a lot of mileage out of the hammer, then dash, hammer, then dash. You can also dash out of the weapon ability. So let me see if I can get some soul stuff. So you can,
I'll just keep this for myself.
I guess I'll show it on him. Dominate, dash out of the way. Normally you couldn't move that fast, but you can do it with the shadow walk, the dash. So for this, I'm just gonna dominate a couple of those guys, and I'm just gonna let them do like their infighting. Oh yeah. So there's another weird thing with the. There's actually a couple of weird things with the hammer. Oh, and by the way, like with Lilith, I'm sorry, like with Thyra, I showed with Thyra that you can do you can use your potion and then like you can weapon ability out of it. That's true for like everybody, I think. And you may have seen me do it there. So if I'm gonna use a potion, I'll use the bomb, and then I use the weapon ability. Now normally, so if I just use, I'm just gonna use a potion here, but I'm gonna hold the stick. You can kind of see there's like a little bit of a delay there before I was able to walk again. But yeah, if you use the weapon ability like immediately after that, then you can, you'll animation cancel out of it. And what's cool is that you can animation cancel. So you can animation cancel out of the potion with a dash, and you can you can animation cancel out of the potion with the weapon ability, and you can animation cancel out of the weapon ability with the dash. So you can do like all three in a row and move pretty quickly after using a potion. So you basically you potion, weapon ability, and then dash. And if you do them like all at the same time, so I'll do it here. Yeah, like that. And that's pretty nice for being able to, as you saw there, I basically just drop a bomb on the summoning stone and just get out of there really quickly. Yeah, just make sure you're taking out priority targets like the mages. They can really... I try to target them first because they can be quite a nuisance, but they're very easy to kill. So it's you can get rid of them quickly, which is very nice. Because having those little green orbs floating around everywhere while you're trying to dodge things, it can get pretty messy. So yeah, just go ahead and clear those out. Yeah, you may have just saw right there. I got the double hit thing on the Orc Juggernaut guy. So yeah, like I said, anything with a health pool that's big enough to do that, it can be. You can get the double hits on if you space it perfectly. You hit it with that sweet spot, whatever. There's another little thing about the hammer. Yeah, two things that I don't think I've touched on yet, which is if you use it point blank, it's actually kind of a stun. So here, I'm going to use it on this guy, point blank. It's not doing any damage to him, but you see he's not doing any damage to me either. It's just kind of stunning him and he can't do anything. So that can be useful. That can be useful because it's fast. Yeah, like that. So even if you know you're not going to be able to get like a kill off of it, it can be nice to just buy yourself a little bit of time.
This looks nice.
There was another thing too that you may have noticed, maybe not, because I was drawing your attention to something else, but the hammer is actually treated as like an entity in the game. It can be quite annoying. It can be quite annoying because when like Elf is using his invisibility, like he's using his potion that turns everybody invisible. Also make sure that you're getting rid of like the sorcerers first, or anything that's like in your way to anything that's like hindering your progression towards that. But yeah, hammers can be seen. They're seen as enemies. Like, so you'll notice that. I mean, it's like seen as an as an entity, and the enemies will actually try to attack it. Your hammer. It's pretty weird. But that's particularly important to note when one of those enemies is the sorcerer and he's doing the hex like he's doing right now. If I was invisible, like if Elf is using his thing that makes everybody invisible, and I was using the hammer, you would still be in danger because the sorcerer could be trying to attack my hammer with the hex. But when he does the hex, it doesn't just attack the hammer; it actually attacks everybody. So you got to be careful about that. Also, I did the thing there where I used the weapon ability to like shorten the distance of my dash. Okay, so yeah, so you gotta be careful with that. One thing you can use the slash for is you can use them to just kind of corral enemies like this, and once you kind of have a lot, then you can then just do the hammer, and just, because the slash is faster than the hammer, you can kind of gather them all up and then throw a hammer on at the very end once you've kind of got them all going, and you just kind of get rid of them all in one fell swoop like that. Let's see.
This is the power.
Yeah, the demon horror, he's not that difficult. He's not that difficult to do. You mainly have to... Oh, and yeah, you can use these guys like this, like shields. Now, if you see me like kind of moving around... Yeah, there we go. I got the double hit on him. You can do... yeah, you can do like demon horrors just by like... Oop. Trying not to die. Yeah, you can do that with demon horrors, the meat shield thing essentially. And you want to make sure you're getting rid of the sorcerers. Now, one of the reasons I don't like this weapon is that it will sometimes cause a glitch with sorcerers outside the room. It can be pretty annoying. And what will happen is like, if you dominate... It's like if you dominate a sorcerer that's like outside of a room, like before you enter a room, but you don't kill him, well, what can happen is like it will make it so that way, and it doesn't always happen, but there's like a chance of it happening. He will just throw like infinite hexes at you. There's other things that can cause the glitch, but that's like the most common one that I know of. Yeah, like if I was to like dominate this guy right here, because I'm about to enter a room, if you're going to dominate sorcerers outside of a room, make sure that you kill them like beforehand, before you enter the room. Because yeah, that can cause problems for you later. Also, it can be dangerous to leave. It can also be dangerous to enter a room before, like if you have minions outside, so you've got either, it doesn't really matter, like in this case, for me, it would be like dominated enemies, but it doesn't have to be. It could be like archers or something like that. If they're outside and there's still a sorcerer outside, that sorcerer can try to attack. It's the same thing with like them trying to attack the hammer that I was just explaining. It can make it so that way the sorcerers are trying to attack your, like the dominated enemies or the archers or whatever it is. And they can try to cast a hex on those guys, but it's just but it's bad for you because the sorcerer's outside and you can't kill him because he's outside the walls. So yeah, so just be mindful of that. Just make sure that you kill like the sorcerers or whatever before you enter the room. Yeah, like when you kind of see me sort of like fidget around when I'm attacking like a summoning stone or something. Sometimes, like if there's like no enemies around, because if there's an enemy around, then obviously I'm just trying to avoid them. But if there's no enemies around and you see me just kind of like like this, like I'm just kind of like fidgeting, I'm just like looking for that sweet spot on that hammer to get the double hit. Let's see, what else? Summoning Stone. Summoning Stones actually give you a lot of... They give you a lot of soul energy. So one thing that you can do if you're playing with a teammate is, like if you're playing... this is... I mean, it's good on like any team with like with any size room, but I find it's best if you're just duoing, because more than that, there's usually a lot more chaos going on and it's hard to keep track. But one thing that you can do is, like, if you are playing with someone else who is playing as Lilith, you can actually save. Let's say you're playing somebody else, like I don't know, you're playing Thor or something like that, and you're hammering away at a summoning stone. Well, right before you kill it, you can actually just save the summoning stone and just let the Lilith player take it, and that Lilith player will get a lot of, like, they'll get like a lot of soul energy off of it. Like, you playing as any other character, you're not going to get any kind of reward for it, but if Lilith does it, then she gets a lot of soul energy for it. So that's one team play aspect thing that you can do with Lilith. It's very easy to... That's kind of like a more advanced thing, because a lot of people really aren't going to be paying attention to that. They're just going to be hammering away at like the summoning stones and stuff like that. So they're not really going to care, or they're not really going to think about that. But yeah, if you're just like looking for like some kind of way to like level up your game a little bit, yeah, if you're playing with a Lilith, you're not necessarily playing as Lilith. Yeah, you can try saving the summoning stone, so that way she can kind of get all the soul energy off of that. Choke points are nice. Choke points are nice because Lilith can handle them quite nicely. So for pathways like this, I like to try to stick to one side. You may remember me kind of saying something similar in the Thyra video. You kind of stay to one side, and it kind of brings them to this side, which kind of gives me room to dash to the other side. So I stay to one side, and I wait about as long as I can until I'm about to get hit, and then I dash over to the other side. Yeah. So for this part right here, stuff like this, it's going to be risky. Like, I probably shouldn't enter. Okay, well, there's no room up here. Yeah, probably shouldn't enter a room after doing that. Like, after making it so that way, you know, like, I've dominated, like, all those sorcerers, or, like, left those sorcerers alive while there's a bunch of dominated enemies that were still alive and stuff like that. Oh, and even after they're dominated, like, the glitch can still happen. So it's kind of important to make sure that you actually do kill the sorcerers and you don't just wait for the domination effect to wear off of the little guys or something like that. Because I don't know why, but yeah, again, it just works that way. That's kind of like a prevailing theme with Lilith. It just works that way. Don't really know why. It doesn't make sense. It's just kind of, you know, kind of buggy like that, I guess. One trick you can do, this is actually kind of one of the more common tricks with this weapon with Lilith. Dash in, dominate, dash in, dominate, and you can just chain a bunch of those, and that's one way you can go through crowds pretty quickly without having to sit there and fight them all and stuff like that. Hopefully this hex wears off. Hopefully this is not an infinite one. Alright, I think we're good. Yeah, it's one of the things I don't like about this weapon when other people are playing it, because they tend to... It's okay for you, like the Lilith player, which is why it's alright for solo, but like it can be pretty annoying to be playing with a Lilith that just indiscriminately just dominates a bunch of stuff. And unfortunately that playstyle is pretty common amongst Lilith players. Like, they just come in, they just dominate this, and then they just like dominate that, and there's really like no pattern to it or anything like that, because, you know, they're trying to stay alive, and fair enough, but then I'm also trying to stay alive. Also, you can kind of see there, like, how I was kind of choking, I was kind of using that choke point, grabbed a bunch of enemies, and then when they were all gathered up, you can either use the hammer to get a lot of souls that way, or you can just use it to dash through to the other side. Both are very useful tactics. But yeah, it's very easy to get caught up in like the enemy infighting. So you get caught like in the crossfire when you have a Lilith player that's just dominating a bunch of stuff. And it makes sense, like I said, it kind of makes sense that they do it, but then at the same time, it's like, yeah, you still got to deal with it though, so. Because when enemies are trying to smack each other, you can get caught up in it, so. Yeah, that's one of the annoying things. Okay, so for this here, again, sorcerers and imps, you heard me say it in the Thyra video. Sorcerers and imps, they're the highest priority. Trying to kill them first. For imps, one good way to kill imps, just dominate them. Let the enemies take care of it. Well, it works best when there actually are enemies around, of course, but yeah. And of course, if there are no enemies, then, you know, you can just take it out yourself. So, it's kind of like a win-win situation. So I'm going to dominate this imp, walk around death, and that imp should die pretty soon. Yep, there we go.
This is getting out of hand.
So that's one of the really nice things about this weapon. You can just kind of dominate and forget as far as the you know, like those bigger and like the imps go and stuff like that. It's kind of like a little delete button. I'm trying to make sure I don't forget anything. I'm sure I am, but I do have a written guide on Steam, so, you know, I guess you can... If there's something I forgot to mention here, it's probably there. But I think I've covered a lot of the... a lot of the important stuff already. And yeah, that's that. So there's one thing in particular I kind of wanted to point out with the archers with Lilith. If you... So one of the important things with Lilith to... I mean, with the archers to know is that the archers form like in an arc behind her, like behind her back, so which like relative to whatever way she's facing. So you notice I'm facing left, and I'm going to spawn the archers, and you're going to notice they're going to be in an arc, but like on the right, behind her. Oh yeah, and also you can use them as a shield like that. This is actually pretty important to know, because if you're going to use them as like living shields, it's important to know that like if you're facing the threat, face away and then spawn them. And then they will be between you and whatever it is you're trying to block. So yeah, that's just kind of like an important thing to know with archers specifically. As far as like other unique things with the archers, some of it is pretty self-explanatory, some of it you don't really, you know, some of it you'll probably figure out, you don't really need me to explain it. Or, you know, it kind of carries over, a lot of the stuff kind of carries over from the previous weapon I said. But one thing you can do for like setting up, because the beginning of a room, like taking over the beginning of a room can be pretty difficult with archers, because it's like where all the chaos kind of is. And it can be hard to establish getting like your foot in the door, so to speak. Getting like that initial thing set up. So this is where like those illusions are really helpful. So you can like set up the illusions.
From the grave I've come.
You can set up the illusions, and those guys can help like protect your archers. Also, the slash is very good for protecting the archers, because a lot of times they actually will kind of pay themselves off pretty well. Like they can protect themselves fairly decently, I'd say. But the beginning is where they're going to need the most help, like, because they don't start firing instantly. They start firing after like a second or two. And that second or two is sometimes where they need the most help. So, yeah, you can just kind of help them out a little bit. Just kind of do the slash on the other side of them, like this, and just kind of like keep the... If there were like other enemies, you just kind of keep the enemies at bay while the archers kind of wind up and get going. One thing you can do with archers that's pretty useful is that you can cancel out of the hammer by using the weapon ability. Now this was also true with the other weapon, Dominate, but like of course you're just not going to have archers, but you can use it for archers as well. So I'm going to hammer, do the archers, and I'm basically doing them at the same time, like that. So you do hammer, and it saves some time, which is really nice. And archers really pay themselves off once you they really pay themselves off like once you kind of get like an army going like this. Another tactic that you can keep in mind, you'll notice like I spawned the archers like right here. Especially, this is particularly true for like the fire archers. You kind of want to put them in like like you can start thinking about like the exit. So when I put them here, they were attacking the summoning stone that was down here. But of all the places I could have put them in this room, I wanted to put them like on this line, so that way when the room opens, they can start attacking out this, like out the door. So you can start thinking about placing your archers, you know, in strategic ways like that. Like I could have put them here and they would help me out here, but then they would also help me in that room. Yeah, I kind of rushed that, but that's kind of like what I was talking about. You got to be careful of in terms of making it so that you're not dashing into like very vulnerable areas where you're going to be like attacked immediately afterwards. And I'm not going to go through a whole, like I'm not going to go through a whole portal with this weapon, but yeah, I just wanted to show like a couple of things like that. With the, specifically how they're spawned. They spawn behind her. And you can use that information to know how to set up like you set them up if you want to use them as like living shields. Oh, also another thing that archers are good for are stunning big guys. I see there's a big guy on the other side, and I'll see if I can get to him. But one thing you can do is so if you notice I'm facing one way, I can dash, face the other way, and as I face the other way, hit the I spawn the archers. So I'm facing this way, dash down, turn my back to, well, I guess that's a bad example because that was against the wall and they can't spawn into the wall. Maybe I should just wait till I get like to a clearer spot. But again, hitting these mummies, very nice. Very nice for building up your soul gauge. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show. So this guy here, he's going to try to hit me. I'm going to spawn archers in his face and it stuns him. Very useful to know. It also works against pretty much any enemy. Any enemy that's not a boss. So it doesn't work on liches, spider queens, or demon whores, but it works on anything else. So one thing you can do is if you're going to dash into like a potentially dangerous area, you can like dash and then spawn archers in their face. And these archers probably aren't going to be doing, like, archers that you use in that way probably aren't going to be doing a whole lot of damage, but it can be nice. But like I guess it can be nice to just have them as protection, I guess. Okay, so this here, I'm going to put these archers on this line because if they outlive this room, I want them to still be around and shooting out. I want them to shoot out the door. So you can see with the fire archers, and I'm getting the double tap thing. Yeah, you can just melt rooms with well-placed archers. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the important stuff with that, with the archers. Yeah, just spawn them if you need. So it's kind of like the same thing I was doing with the dominate weapon. How I was using the dominate weapon to dash. I mean, I was using the dominate ability to cut like a dash short, something like that. And kind of protect myself. While archers, they can do the same thing. I'm gonna grab this. Now you do not get the you do not get the healing with archers, so that is one thing you're gonna give up. But you get, in exchange for that, you get like you get more damage, I guess, per hit. So here I'm going to spawn archers, but then make sure that you kind of protect them while they set up. Because one problem a lot of people have is that they'll put down their fire archers and then they just die immediately. Another thing you can do is that you can get archers that are, you know, they're not the fire kind, they're just whatever. You just kind of use them as decoys just to draw the enemy's attention so they don't mess with your fire archers. I was hoping not to hit him there, but whatever, it's alright. You can use archers to kind of like chain into other archers, so basically if I have some archers that are like down here, then I can set up archers right here, and the only job of the archers down here would be to protect the archers that are up here. Also, you can see, boom, so I just stunned him by spawning an archer in his face. Pretty useful, pretty useful. Okay, protect the archers while they're setting up. And they're going to attack whatever's closest to them, so if you can just kind of help get rid of the, just kind of clear the trash that's around them, that's distracting them from whatever it is that you want them to target. Also, if you can kind of keep archers, like, if you can kind of get them in like a corner or something that like enemies just really aren't going to, it's kind of hard to do, but if you can manage to do it, like you can put maybe illusions down and then you get the archers down in a corner, and while the enemies are distracted with the illusions or maybe just trying to get you instead because the archers are too far away, they don't care about that, then you can get it so that way the archers are just kind of isolated in the corner, something.
Flesh, souls.
But yeah, archers will do a lot of work for you. That's why I like them anyway. They do a lot of damage. If you can get them on a roll and you can just, there's like a tipping point. There's like a tipping point with the archers where when you just kind of start taking over a room. So in the beginning, of course, there's way more enemies than there are, like your archers and you and stuff that's like on your team. But there's a certain point that like when your archers start like outnumbering the enemies, there's just like a lot of archers, regardless, you can see them just take over the room.
Here we go again.
You don't always have to wait, so you don't always have to wait to get fire archers to use them. Sometimes just having the numbers is important. Oh, that's another bad thing about spawning in the corner, is that the archers don't spread out so much when you summon them in the corner, because like, see how they're kind of like all together? Well, one attack just like took them all out. Like one little guy took them all out. So you can do it in the corner. Sometimes you don't have much of a choice, but if you put them in the corner, just kind of be mindful of that.
The endless cycle continues.
I was hoping to show a useful thing with the...
Should destroy the summoning stone.
Oh, yeah. So, typically you probably don't want to put archers this close to the summoning stones. It doesn't really matter in this case because, I was right at the end of that room. Archers can be useful here too, to kind of help fight enemies. And they're protected across spikes. So if you're at an area where there's like a lot of spike traps or something like that, or at least the automated ones, if it's like the ones in the caves where like they don't activate until you step on them, it's less useful there. But like here, where you kind of have the spikes that are protecting your archers, on the other side of the spikes is nice to plant your archers. I guess I'll start with this. So I'm looking for that double tap sweet spot, not finding it.
Another spirit.
You can put them in the corner if you can support them with like something like the, you know, like your illusions, something like that. Okay, I'm gonna stun him. And now I'm just looking for the double hit. Yeah, you see those archers, they basically took out that other summoning stone all by themselves. I don't even think I did anything on that one. I guess one little basic thing that I forgot to mention is that you can actually have it so... you can actually have it so that way you're doing more damage than normal by combining the slash and the hammer. So the way it would work is that you do slash, then hammer, slash, then hammer. And that's not much slow. Like, your hammering isn't much slower than just regular hammering. So you're almost getting a free slash in between hammers for free. I think it's slightly slower than just normal hammer, but like the damage from the slash, or just the benefit from the slash in general, be it damage or stun or whatever, it's worth it. So here I'm going to put some archers, and I'm going to let these fire archers down here kind of protect them. And you can kind of see that big guy, he was about to smack my archers. He was about to kill them. So I summoned new archers to stun him, to stop him from doing that. Okay. Okay, I got my fire archers.
Death takes all. I could do this all day.
Yeah. Oh, also they're nice for like detecting, yeah, stuff like that, where, you know, in the dark, the door doesn't open because there's still an enemy alive. You don't know where it is. So it's just like one of those. It's kind of a trivial thing, but it's nice. Archers will just take care of, you know, they just kind of have like an automatic tracking for enemies, and you don't have to go hunt them down. So I guess that's about it. Thanks for watching. Hope that helped.